My name is Tyson Kubo, and the club brought me in basically to try and get everybody on the same page. Um, and what I had mentioned to Kavika is that instead of trying to get everybody to do the same thing, I wanted to, which is why you guys are broken down into divisions. Except we got some young people like skipped in here. They're not going to be here at the end for theirs, so they decided to come on this one. But yeah, yours is in 2 weeks, right? So but anyways, I wanted to get everybody in the divisions to be on the same page because like you guys aren't going to be racing with these guys, and you know what I mean. And whereas like the men and the women, you guys might be doing a mix. I just found out doesn't go to state. There is a mix definitely, right? In regatta.
No states. Yeah.
What that
doesn't go to states.
Yeah, but no states. But for regatta, it's good to have you guys that are going to be racing with each other doing the same kind of thing, you know. And it's good to have, you know, instead of trying to overhaul everyone and have everyone doing exactly the same thing. That's almost impossible. You know, everybody's has different body sizes. Everybody looks different. You know, so to make everyone look exactly the same as the next person is impossible to do. But what I do preach is fundamentals instead of like a technique. You know, for me, there's no technique. There's just fundamentals that everyone can apply, and there's ability to feel the boat. You're gonna hear me say that at least 10 times today about feeling the canoe and having. If you have one person in the boat that is a good feel person that can tell when the boat is doing good and is able to respond to that and say, "Hey, right there, like that feels good right there," instead of chatter from too many people, that is ideal. If you have one good feel person in the boat, okay, because then you have. It's not like being an alpha or being the boss or whatever. It's good to have one person recognize it, call it out when the boat does feel good, and then the boat responds to that, right? So when the boat does feel good, everyone should be not trying to change anything. So if the boat starts to run good, it's like, okay, right there, should be a mental cue. Okay, nobody change a thing. Everybody do exactly the same thing that they're doing. Don't add any pressure. Don't try any harder. Don't try and pull any harder, right? But that has to be addressed. Otherwise, that feeling gets lost, and then you're just kind of going in a circle. And it also works the other way, where if the boat doesn't feel good, you know, it could be a mental check from steersmen. Who are steersmen here? Okay, so it's a mental check from your steersman. A lot of times, all you gotta say is timing gang. Something real simple, you know? Not C2, fix your timing. Not like that, right? Timing gang. Yeah. If you say something as simple as timing gang, right? It funnels through the boat, everyone checks. So nobody knows who is off and who is not. Okay? And basically what you're trying to create is individual accountability in the canoe. Everyone, what makes a boat fast doesn't necessarily always mean to go 100%. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta back off a little bit. Sometimes you gotta shorten up your stroke a little bit. But there's always little things you as a paddler, you as an individual can do to help make the boat feel better. Because basically, when the boat feels good, everyone's happy, right? When the boat feels good, it feels effortless, right? But how do you do that? How do you create an environment in the canoe that it will feel good consistently? That's what I'm trying to teach by teaching like this whole fundamentals thing for you guys to follow. Okay. So let's backtrack a little bit. Okay, so I started at this canoe club. This is my first canoe club for my first 2 years. Okay. My first coach I had 3 coaches my first year. It was Halika Atai, which some of you know, so you've been here a while. Halika Atai, Malama Chan, and our coach in our boat was Ilima Kalama. Okay. You guys probably know all 3 of them. Ilima Kalama is Dave Kalama's dad. Everybody know Dave Kalama, big wave surfer. Okay, that's his dad. Okay, so he was our steersman. That year we had 17 novice V's show up, men. Okay? So he basically said, you, come with me. We're going to race open. So I never got to race in Novice B, which is kind of a bummer. And I tell everybody that is new, like, don't skip that. That's like your kind of, I wouldn't say glory days, but those days are important because you get to enjoy without having to be stressed out. Right? So I skipped Novice B. I skipped my 2 years Novice A. I went straight into open. And this was in my very first year, and we were last in every single race. Every race, we were last. There was not one race that we were like second to last. No, we were last, like by far. Yeah. And then our boat coach, Ilima, wanted us to go all the way through Channel. So we did all the distance races, all of these different things in my very first year. I wouldn't say last, but pretty close to last in every single race. Okay. And needless to say, I stuck around. And I found a little bit of pleasure after that first year. But getting last every year was kind of defeating, right? But I did learn stuff from those three guys. Kavika came in my second year. Yeah. And he kind of grabbed me, took me under his wing. We did Maui to Molokai together my second year paddling. We relayed the Ocean ones. But he came and he brought a different philosophy. The first three coaches, Aliko was like culture, canoe club. The club is everything, right? Take care of boats. Don't stand up in the canoe. He taught all of the basics of being the cultural club that this was, right? So you guys know who started the club, right? You guys ever met him? Yeah, Moki. Okay, so he started the club because his kid was always getting in trouble, right? He's a family to me. He's blood relations to me. Yeah. He's blood relations to me, alright? Moki and Pat is his nephew, is my grandfather's first cousin. Okay. All that works out. Somehow we're all related. So the Kalanickal family is related to me. Yeah. So even more so, I felt like I had a connection over here. Okay. But when Kavika came that second year, he was the first guy who actually taught me about technique and stuff like that. Like, it's good to have good technique, but his technique at the time was where it was at the time, right? Since then, like, I've had 10 coaches since Kavika. So Kavika was like my fourth. I've had about 14 coaches in my 20 years of paddling. I started in 2000. But that's not including like the paddlers that have been coming through our team, right? Like, I look at paddlers that come through our teams from elsewhere. They're kind of like coaches too, because they bring knowledge, they bring different philosophies and different stuff. So what I teach is like a culmination, I guess you would say, of all of that stuff. Yeah. So all the good stuff I kept, all the bad stuff and the needless stuff I threw away. I simplified the stroke that I teach, or the style that I teach to have less moving parts, built around strength, distance per stroke, consistency in the boat. So you have everyone kind of doing the same thing. No individuals, and having a humble mindset. Yeah, and that's one of the keys about this sport is if you come in and you never think it's your problem, you're definitely the problem. Yeah. So if you always have that mentality that, like, nah, somebody in this boat is not doing it, you're probably the one. Okay. So just look at it that way. You can always do things to make it better, but you can also do things to make it worse. And if you ever think that it's not your fault, it's probably your fault. So just remember that. Yeah. So I've had all of these guys come through. I've had the honor of paddling with 5 or 6 world champs in my canoe. From Jimmy Austin and Danny Ching and Kai, Mike Judd, Corel Tresnick. I paddled with all these guys at one point in time, and they all paddled different. So I was just like, wow, what the hell? Like, how are these guys paddling so different, but they all go so fast? Which got me to thinking, there is no technique. There is no technique, right? That is like the end all. That is the one to be like, this is the dominant technique, because there's no such thing. Yeah. You look at all of I hear people say, like, you know, the Tahitian stroke and the Hawaiian stroke. There is no Tahitian stroke and Hawaiian stroke. I've been to Tahiti a bunch of times. I've watched those guys train. They all paddle different down there. There's no one stroke down there. Right? They all paddle different. Some people look just like us. You slow down shell, and you watch them when they're going slow motion. They look like some of our guys over here at Wailea. They look just like it. Same thing. Okay. So there is no, I don't put names on it, but it's all fundamentals. Okay. So today, for this exercise today, I'm gonna make all of you are officially coaches today, and I'm gonna siphon all of you guys through this boat. Okay, and we're all gonna critique each other. Nervous, yeah. Everybody, nobody watching. We're all gonna critique each other, okay? And I did this with the guys last week, and it went off really well. There's some videos that Bernie shot. Thank you, Bernie, that are on. I don't know if it's available for everyone.
It's for everybody.
You guys are more than welcome to look at it. This is kind of gonna be the same thing, right? But it's a smaller class, so I can spend a little bit more time with each of you guys in the boat. And kind of tweak you guys around a little bit. Since you guys are paddling together, it's important to have you guys all doing the same thing. Yeah. And what do I mean about doing the same thing? Okay, so if I'm coaching a brand new crew, or any crew for that matter, yeah, the first thing I'm looking for is the quality of their catch. Okay, the quality of the way that they're placing the blade in the water. Okay, and how good their catch is moving through the stroke. Okay, so when you think of catch, what do you think about? Like, what is a catch? Anybody? Just
grabbing water. You grab water.
Grab water.
Pressure on the blade.
Pressure on the blade. Everybody else.
Blade through the water and exit.
Somebody took my class before.
Yeah.
So,
watch the video.
right. So that is your catch is how you can hold on to water and keep pressure as you're pulling until the blade pops out. Okay. So, but how do you do that, right? So if you put too much pressure on the front, you start to lose pressure out the back, and then the blade pops out, and there's no pressure on the blade as it comes out. Right? Does that make sense? So there's so many terminologies. Stab the fish, stick the o in the ground, all of these different things, right? But like, if you're thinking about that puts emphasis on just jabbing the front and not really thinking about the actual pulling part, right? The pulling part is the meat and potatoes. So if all six is locked in, right? If all six is locked in and they're moving the blades together, and the blades are moving together like this, okay, all six, the boat is going to react and the boat is going to do something. It's when the blades are going at all different speeds that things get thrown off. Okay? Things get thrown off when you have six blades going at different speeds, some going through the water slowly and properly. I like to think that the correct way to do things is that for the blade to actually be moving exactly the same as the boat. Okay? Because the philosophy is you're moving the boat, you're not pulling the blade. Okay? You're pulling the boat past the blade. Okay? If I'm here, right, and I plant the blade here, I want to move there on my exit. Okay? The blade doesn't move. Okay? That's the philosophy behind like getting a good solid catch, locking it in, and moving the boat. Okay? But how do you do that? How do you get six people all doing the same thing? Okay? Part of it is the way your levers, like your arms are actually your levers, your levers, right? If you have some of you that are breaking the top arm, right, and breaking the bottom arm too early, that creates a different speed in the water. Remember now, the first thing I'm looking for is your catch and your speed in the water. Okay? If you are doing this, right, the blade is turning over too quickly, right? So your blade is actually turning over in the middle. You guys saw this on the video if you watched the video, or if you took my classes, right? You don't want your blade to be moving over, like moving through the water this way. Okay? It moves through quickly, but the blade moving through the water quickly doesn't mean that the boat is doing the same thing. Yeah? If you're moving through the water quickly like this, yeah, majority of the time you're slipping. fact, almost 100% of the time, your blade is slipping through the water because it's moving through the water too quickly. Or if it's not slipping, you are off timing. Okay? Remember now, timing is like the length of the stroke all the way out the back, or the catch, right? All the way out the back. If you're pushing, pulling, and doing this, okay? Now, if you have a straighter bottom arm, right? And a top arm that doesn't break in the stroke, meaning a top arm that stays constant during the length of the stroke from forward to back and to back to front, right? My top arm doesn't really bend at all. It stays the same. I have a tiny bend in it, but that tiny bend stays the whole time. Yeah. And what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to lever the blade. I'm trying to create the blade to turn over here, right? Instead of here. Yeah? You guys all can see the length of the stroke that's going through the water. The water level's right here, and you're going over here, as opposed to here. That's double the length of time you're spending through the water. Okay, now we're trying to get distance per stroke, right? We're trying to get the boat to go farther every time you take a stroke. Okay? And the way to do that is to get a longer length of stroke, because remember, we're moving the boat, we're not moving the paddle. Okay? So the longer the stroke, the more distance you go. Okay? Now there is a time when you're sprinting, right? If you guys are all sprinters, this is a sprinting club, that you need to get the boat out, the blade out of the water quicker, just because you need that boat to release. Once you get the boat to top speed, if you spend too much time in the water at that point, no good. The boat, you can actually kind of hurt the run of the boat if the boat is accelerating too much. But I'm talking at cruising speed, like level 2s, even up into your level 3s, where you're a little bit aerobic now, right? You still want to have length of stroke, yeah? But when you're sprinting, the blade comes out of the water a little quicker, right? The blade comes out of the water a little quicker. And then at level 4, right? And level 5, you're just kind of like scratching the surface. At level 5, our club thinks about 3/4 blading. Okay? So we get up, right? We get the blade, throws the boat up to speed, right? Through the first 4 as we build, you guys might call it pine or up or whatever you guys call it, right? You guys get the boat up, and then once you get to that pine point, we're thinking 3/4 blade. Okay, we're not like, and we're thinking that our body angles are staying forward like this. Yeah, during a sprint. Some of you guys already been through that with me, but you can actually hurt the boat by having the blade in the water for too long. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Okay, so we want to have the solid top arm, right? This bottom arm here, we only want that thing to break or turn over, right, when we want to get the blade out. Okay, and why is that? Why do you think that I want to keep that bottom arm straight for a longer period of time? Anyway.
More pressure on the blade?
Pressure on the blade, correct. But it also forces me to get the blade deeper in the water. If I break it early, the blade stays on top, right, on the upper surface. If I keep it locked out, the blade is forced to go down. Okay, you got it? Okay, so that's the top arm, and that's the bottom arm. So when you rotate, okay, is it a hinge? I know there's like many different schools on this. Okay, is it a hinge or is it a twist and lean? Twist and lean. Okay, so the object when you're twisting and leaning to the front part of your stroke is to try and get your armpit, at the side that you're on. You're trying to get that armpit lower to the gunnel, okay? Because you want to start low, right, and then finish high. The lower the intensity, the longer the pull. Okay, as the intensity comes up, all you're doing is you're taking the back out of the stroke and you're pushing the stroke forward, but the front never changes. Okay, the reach on the front always stays constant. Okay, all you're doing when the level goes up is you go from level 1, level 2, right, level 3, level 4, and level 5. That's the only difference in when you guys are doing levels. I know you guys workouts, I've seen it from Kavix, is all different level changes, interval changes, right? But you guys have to learn how to crawl and walk before you guys start doing that. Like, I'm not a proponent of sprinting right now. That's one thing that I would have changed with what coach is doing. I spent a lot of time in 2s and 3s. Okay. And my philosophy is if you're fast in 3, you'll be fast everywhere else. Okay. If you're fast in, remember now, if you're fast in level 3, if you can go level 3, stay aerobic, nose breathe and mouth breathe, which is kind of what I say level 3 is if you don't have a heart rate monitor. If you can nose breathe and mouth breathe at level 3 and make the boat go fast, almost top speed, right? Then level 4 and level 5 will just get exponentially faster. Okay. So I would spend a lot of time there.
What is fast to you?
Like, is in speed?
Mm-hmm.
Faster than the boat next to me.
You have a number? You have a number?
You know,
You don't.
we're not big on numbers.
Okay.
Like we're not big on that part of the
We
game.
we use a lot of paddle coach.
Yeah.
So we're looking at like 6.5 miles an hour. 7 is like level 4. Level 5 is 7.3, depending on our age group.
Yeah.
Or maybe if we're going to a level 2, we're at 5 miles an hour, depending on the age group. Yeah.
I'll be real honest with you guys. Like at our club, we don't pay attention to that.
Yes,
Like we don't even do turns. Like we do turns the day of the first regatta. We don't even do turns. Yeah, we don't practice that. We practice flat out, straightaway speed. I'm gonna beat you to the turn. We mess up the turn, so be it. But we're gonna beat you back. You know what I mean? Like we focus on straightaway speed. And like back to your question, we don't focus on the numbers, right? We focus on feeling. Like we'll go when we start off, we go super slow. And like if level 1 is warm up, we're going like level half. Like half of level 1. We're going super slow motion, getting all the parts firing up. Whoosh. Slow, slow, slow. Whoosh. Like, we'll do this for hours. Hours and hours we'll do this. It's painfully slow, and it's hard to do like that.
How quick is your return?
So, good question. So your return is like when you want to accelerate, you can do things both ways. Added pressure, added effort, or quicker return.
So you don't have to have a quick return. You could make it up with just force on the blade.
You can, like I said, you can do it both ways. Like you can go faster by pushing harder with your top hand, right? Pushing harder off of everything, off of your legs, off of your everything. Yeah. The firing mechanism, you push harder, it'll go faster. Yeah. Or you can just be quicker to the return. And we did these drills in the OC1, and it works for everyone, right? And it'll work for sure in the sit stand, where if you're going, say you're going at level 3, right? And we focus on our breathing a lot too. We focus on a lot of other things other than numbers, okay? So first off is feeding, right? But another thing we focus on is breathing. So if you're a runner, okay? You change your breathing, you change your gait. You're a paddler, you change your breathing, you change your stroke, you change your rhythm, okay? So when we want to accelerate, we just quicken our inhale, but we draw out our exhale. That's the only thing we change. No added effort, and the boat picks up a half a mile an hour. Yeah. So you can accelerate either way. Yeah. And it all depends on your crew and where you guys are at or what type